Wickenheiser was a big one. Thursday night in Minnesota, 135 of overtime, and the Canadiens. And speaking of former #1 draft picks, a surprise announcement by the Leafs earlier today. They had signed Dale McCourt, who was cut loose by Buffalo earlier in the week. McCourt plays tonight for the Leafs against the Canadiens. Live on CBC, Hockey Night in Canada, brought to you by Molson, bringing you the finest in hockey broadcasting for over 25 years. Canadian Tire. There's more to Canadian Tire than tires. Canadian National, in business for Canada. Esso, you make us better. And by Ford of Canada. At Ford, quality is job one. Driving is believing. The Canadiens are one game above the 500 mark. The Leafs right at the break-even point. Good evening, everyone. Their records may be similar, but the recent games don't put these teams into the same mood at all. The Leafs blasted 8-1 by Quebec. The Canadiens, 2 big victories on the road, 12-2 at Winnipeg, 5-4 in overtime, a comeback win at Minnesota. Now the pregame thoughts of Dick Irvin and Bob Cole.
Well, as usual, the Canadiens and the Maple Leafs, a prime attraction. Bob Cole has seen the Toronto Maple Leafs this season. The Canadiens and their media entourage have not seen them. Robert?
Dick, this year was supposed to be the year the Leafs would improve, and I think there is still time, but it's going on the back burner for a while now. 2 big shooters are out, Inachak and Podubny. Inachak for maybe another 10 days, Podubny 2 to 3 months. Goaltending has been questionable, very, very inconsistent. But, of course, that's not a problem only here in Toronto. The league is full of goals.
Well, we used to say last year that the Canadiens were very inconsistent in their play, and I don't think you can say that this year about the Montreal team. 7 games, only one bad one 2 weeks ago tonight against Philadelphia. They played pretty well. They have won 3 in a row right now. They're on a road trip that saw them win 2 straight, and their goaltending has been adequate, if that. But the Canadiens seem to have a new work ethic, really, Bob, this year. There's something about them. The other night, down 4-1 in Minnesota, 12 minutes to go, come back to win the hockey game. So it's the Canadiens and the Leafs. Should be a good one. Now here's Brian McFarland.
Dick, our update game tonight features Vancouver at Edmonton, the 2 top teams in the Smythe division. We'll be watching the top goal scorers in hockey tonight as well. Gretzky with 11, Tony Tanti with 10. Hockey Night in Canada on CBC returns in just a moment.
Main topic of conversation around the Gardens, the Dale McCourt signing. Obviously, the Buffalo Sabres tried to trade him, maybe even tried to get other teams to pay part of his salary and take him for nothing. So should we be surprised that after they terminate his contract, he pops up somewhere else, specifically Toronto?
I don't think so, Dave. I don't think there's any question about Scotty Bowman wanting to get rid of Dale McCourt strictly because of a contract. I think it was the same with Van Boxmeer, but I wouldn't be surprised if Scotty tried to re-sign him for less money, and maybe Dale didn't want to go back there, but this is close to home for him, and I think he's going to fit well in the Leaf lineup.
The one thing about Dale McCourt, he could always score points, 70, 80 points a season, which might not have been enough for the money he used to be making. But if that's all you're looking for and that's all you're paying him to score, maybe he can be a bargain for the Leafs.
Well, very possibly. I think with the fanfare that McCourt came up in Detroit with, it was probably expected for him to score 100, 120 points a year. He just never did that. But he always will get you a good point a game, and maybe with the weakened salary, he will be a plus for the Leafs. And, of course, they got to worry about injuries now with Inachak out and Podubny out. So they need some bodies out there, and McCourt may just fill the role.
Okay, let's go to Dick Irvin and Bob Cole.
Thank you, gentlemen, and good evening, everybody. Well, the first of 3 meetings this year for the Leafs and Canadiens. Last season, Toronto won the series with a win here, 6-5, and 2 ties in Montreal. There you see the referee tonight, Kerry Fraser, and that's the new rule we talked about last Saturday, where the referee will talk to the 2 captains And I suppose, Dick, they're trying everything to speed the game up. It's been working pretty well.
Well, it can't be like baseball. They can't be going over the ground rules, I don't think, like they do in that particular sport. But there you see it, as you mentioned. We have referred to the Inachek and Podubny injuries in the Leaf camp. The Canadians are without Mark Napier. He had a real close call 2 nights ago in Minnesota. Suffered a partially cut tendon, not totally. And Mark went home after that game, carried on to Montreal yesterday. His absence is in the indefinite category. He's hoping it's not any more than a week or 10 days, although that seems a little optimistic. And Rick Wamsley has a sore ankle. So the Canadians now have Richard Sevigny in the nets tonight, and Greg Moffat is the backup as we look at the Maple Leaf coaching staff, Don Maloney and Mike Nicola. So there is Sevigny, who played 4 straight games, winning 3, losing 1. Then did not play in the team's winning effort in Minnesota Thursday night, and Sevigny is back in action for Montreal tonight. So before we get to the action, here now, the national anthem.
The referee tonight are the linesman Ray Scapanello from 12th in his 13th season. Randy Mitten from Calgary starting his 10th season in the National Hockey League. The goaltenders tonight, Richard Sevigny, 26 years old from Montreal. He appeared in 38 of Canadians' 80 last season. Had 1 shutout tonight, his 5th start. He's 3-1. And for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, we've got Rick St. Croix. He played in 32 games last season for the Leafs, appearing also in his 5th. He's 1-2. Goals against, you see, 4.80. The starting lineups, Larry Robinson, Craig Ludwig for Canadians, Acton, Lafleur, and Schott up front. For Leafs, Salming and Lehman on the defense with Therion, Gavin, and Harris. That's the checking line. And play underway. That is Steve Schott to Robinson. Wearing the helmet now, Robinson dumped one into the corner. Here comes Lafleur out of the net. St. Croix to try and clear it. Canadians try to keep it in, but they can't do it. Leafs get rid of it down the ice. There will be no icing as Ludwig was back quickly. He has been playing well for Canadians on the defense so far this season. This could be icing as the Leafs come back. Hustling in his Acton, not quickly enough. Icing called against Montreal.
Guy Lafleur had 6 goals in the Canadians' first 6 games, a goal a game through that stretch. It was snapped on Thursday night in Minnesota. Interesting enough, Bob, the Canadians in the 2 games in the Midwest scored 17 goals, and Lafleur had just 1 point. A breakaway goal in the last minute of play to make it goal number 12 for the Canadians in Winnipeg, and that is the most goals a modern-day Montreal Canadian club has ever scored in a road game.
Carry on, 7 into the face-off spot against Acton of Montreal. We're just underway here in Toronto. Ray Scapanello moving the players outside the rim of that big circle. They're a little anxious, want to move in quickly, and look at one Canadian come in fast. Puck not dropped in yet. That was Steve Schott. Harris is in. Carry on fades in behind him. Out near the point is Salming waiting for it. Couldn't keep it in. Just outside the line. That was close, but offside at the Montreal blue line.
Now Boris Salming, his 11th year here in Toronto. The Canadians have 1 Swedish player, the only European-type player ever to play in Montreal. It's Mats Naslund.
And he is off to a great start for Canadians.
He hasn't been on the ice yet here tonight, but that line of Mondu, Naslund, and Tremblay, they were together all of last season, and lately they've been playing quite well.
Got to be the top line for Montreal these days. Mondu at center, Tremblay on the right wing, and Naslund playing the left side. We'll see them in just a few moments. Right now, Canadians trying to clear as the Leafs go in fast. Harris in front of the net. It comes back here to Lehman. Lehman can't get a shot on the goal. Harris missed it. There goes Gavin, though. Gavin is bumped over there. Leafs on top of the play inside that Canadian line. Therion, a hard worker, cuts for the net. Dropped it behind the goal. Scramble in front. And the Canadians now will clear it. Schutt gets it out to center. Acton, a real speedster, is going in. Dropping it beautifully. And that shot by Hunter was wide. Hunter back in the net. Canadians look to press now. Hunter gets in front. St. Croix covered up. Here's the shot from the line. That hit Salming in front of the goal. Salming took his man in on the boards. There's no score. A minute and a half gone in the first period. Canadians in on top of it. But again, Therion still on there, moving out. Up with Harris is going to the bench, and they'll make wholesale changes now with the Canadians coming back. No score. 1:40 gone in the opening period. Needless to say, a sellout crowd again here in the Gardens. Tickets hard to come by. Whenever Montreal and Toronto get together, icing called against Montreal. From Toronto, this is Hockey Night in Canada.
The one thing I found different from the other cars I had was the smooth drive.
Thousands of Canadians are discovering the sure handling and smooth ride of the new Ford LTD. It's comfortable inside because it's capable outside.
You have a feel of the road, and yet a very smooth ride. This is the first car since I was a young man that I've really enjoyed driving.
The '84 Ford LTD. Have you driven the best-built North American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
Ford surprised me.
Canadians coach Bob Barry said before they gave Bob and Mickey that he said, I don't know what it is. Whenever I coach, they always seem to come up with a new player or a big trade or a big event when we come to town, when my team comes to town, meaning the McCourt situation.
Bob was telling me before the game tonight, when we talked about the fact that McCourt is here, well, he said, I'm number one when it comes to surprises, and they're usually upsets against me. We'll see what happens as the evening develops. Quick shot, right on, rebound. He scored! Right off the bat. Rick Vise gets the goal. 1:52 here in the first period.
Mickey, the centerman had been kicked out of the face-off circle. So Carbonneau was gone. It was Chris Nyland taking the draw. I didn't notice who took it for Toronto.
Well, Vive was just allowed, you see, all alone on the right side of the screen. Dickie was left all alone. Dow took the original shot on a screen. Sevigny made the stop. Watch Vive here. You see, nobody's around him. Robinson unable to get to him. And Vive with a big shot just drilled it behind Sevigny.
See, Vive did take the face-off, and the centerman's supposed to take out the centerman.
Everybody left him. That's right.
Rick Vise getting the opening goal for the Maple Leafs. From Daou after the faceoff, 1:52 the time. That's number 6 on the season for Vine. Canadians now trying to get it back. A shot stopped by St. Croix as Carbonneau let it go. He's on with Nyland and Gainey cutting in front. Carbonneau again slides one in. Rebound is there. The Leafs trying to clear it out. That's Martin on the board. Jim Corrin, the big defenseman, taking Nyland out of the play. In front of the net. Derlego sweeps it out on the right side, and here come the Leafs again. They're leading 1-0. Martin in the slot area. Didn't get the pass. In back of the net. Canadians hop on it. 3 of them come outside the blue line. Led by Bob Gainey going in. Gainey's pass a little bit back outside the line, and Carbonneau picked it up, and then Gainey was offside.
Canadians captain Bob Gainey wearing a helmet this season for the first time in his NHL career. And as Mick and I talked in our Montreal telecast last week, the experiment to make Bob into a Norris Trophy winning defenseman was over very quickly. He is much happier and looks much more like Bob Gainey, Mick, on the left side.
Well, he sure does. I know he prefers to play forward, but as Bob Gainey will be, he'll play anywhere that the coach wants him to for the better of the hockey club. And at Serge Savard's request, everybody but Lafleur is wearing helmets on the Canadians this year, including Gainey.
Wickenheiser is on there now for Montreal with Walter, number 11, and Lafleur. Coming in on this play is Benning. Lafleur falls. Benning went down. Pile up of players back to the net. Leafs. Barry's trying to keep it in. Comes to the center ice area. Leafs try to play it back inside the blue line, but it's Root getting a pass away, a little too far for Walter. St. Croix will take no chances, and he covers up.
The stands weren't exactly crowded when perhaps the most significant game in the long history of baseball was played. What made it so significant? Well, it certainly wasn't the baseball. No, it was the time of day, nightfall. For it was on this night in 1924 that a small group of General Electric engineers ushered in the era of night baseball and made possible for us all the many brilliant nights to come.
Dale McCourt, his best season, 80-81, 30 goals and 56 assists. Last year with Buffalo, he slipped to 20 goals, 52 points from Falconbridge, Ontario. Now a Maple Leaf. Coming up to the 4-minute mark of the opening period, 1-0. Toronto on a goal by Vibe. Shut. Drove one right at St. Croix, and he stopped it. Graham up on the left wing. Fired it in. And it's called.
Well, Dick, I suppose there'll be a lot of conversation about this man, Dale McCourt, in the months to come, and what really happened in Buffalo. It seemed like it was a financial move on Scotty Bowman's part, and as I mentioned on the top, I wouldn't be surprised if Scotty's tried to sign him for less money right back again.
Nick, if you're a Dale McCourt fan, you've spent a frustrating time following him in the NHL. Everybody always waits for the other shoe to drop with McCourt. He hasn't yet really produced.
Well, you know, he's had 6 years out of the 7 in the NHL. He's scored better than 30 goals, so it's hard to argue with, but as Dave and I mentioned, I think people are expecting more out of him.
Right.
23 there is Pat Graham. Got him from Pittsburgh in the Rockies Saginaw deal. Born here in Toronto 22 years ago. Graham is wearing number 23, and here he comes. Couldn't quite handle the pass. Bumped on the boards. 2 Canadians on top of him. Lehman kept it in. Nigro didn't see it. And it's cleared away by Root. Got a pass down to center. Leeds Salming coming in on this play. Dale McCourt played it over in front to Nigro. Nigro didn't get a shot away, but McCourt set that up neatly. Back to center ice. Leafs leaded 1-0. Atkin coming in. He spun around, went off balance, did not go down. Looks after it and doesn't get it. They hold it on the boards, and finally the Leafs just clear it away. That's Nigro, number 16, with Therion, and Harris is on the left wing. Nearing the 5-minute mark of the opening period, 1-0, Leafs lead. Salming on the defense with Lehman. There's Salming's pass. Harris is offside. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Toronto.
Good times are here. Got my favorite beer. Been a great day. Oh, what a great day. Break away to the good times. Molten Canadian, break away to the good times.
Again, a reminder of our update game. Brian McFarland will keep us posted on what's going on in Edmonton, where the Oilers are playing the Vancouver Canucks, and they are scoreless early in the first period. 1-0 here. The Leafs ahead of the Canadians in the Rick 5 goal.
With Mondu, Tremblay, and Naslin for Montreal. Harris, Therion, and that's Gavin, the other winger. Gavin, number 9, left it for Therion. Therion looks for it. It's cleared out to center ice, and Korn, the defenseman, with Gingras for Toronto, played it back in. Picard was back first, and it's called high stick, making contact.
Hey, Dick, you talk about Edmonton. A lot of folks would like to know what happened to the Oilers the other night in L.A. They were cruising along pretty well, and all of a sudden L.A., who was winless, knocked them off pretty good. Bernie Nicholls scoring 4 goals.
Those words from Mickey Redmond of Peterborough. We look at Greg Therion of Peterborough. I guess what the Edmonton Oilers can lose once in a while.
Just outside of
Peterborough. I see. Sorry about that. Oilers can lose once in a while.
I guess so, but I guess their followers don't look for it, especially in L.A.
Larry Robinson, number 19 for Montreal, played it up to center ice. Gingras missed it, got another chance at it. Therion was hit hard. There's a penalty coming up against Montreal. But the Leafs have possession. Rick St. Croix rushes to the bench. They have an extra man on. Let's see what happens. Korn gets the pass. He'll shoot it in. Canadians will gain possession on that play. And the whistle goes. The penalty is now being assessed to Montreal. Let's go go now to Brian McFarland.
First goal of the game in Edmonton goes to the Oilers with Tiger Williams in the penalty box. 6 seconds later, the Oilers score when Lindstrom from the corner feeds Linsman in front of the net, and he pops it through the legs of Brodeur. 1-0 Oilers at the Northlands Coliseum.
And here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, the Canadians' Mario Tremblay has just been penalized for slashing at 5:22. The Leafs get the first power play attempt of the game.
And Derlego goes to center, his first shift. Salming up the blue line. Leafs power play, moving it around. There's a shot off the leg and dribbled just wide. 70 out to cut the angle. Salming again. Gingras play in front to Derlego. He can't get his stick on it. And it's cleared back down the ice. Derlego, number 19, with Martin. Preacher is on the right side, and he turns to move over there now, and away he goes. But the puck comes this way to Derlego. There's Preacher cutting in, jams the brakes on. Preacher takes his time, moving it around neatly. Preacher into the corner with it, got it back to the net. Out it comes to Salming. Shoots. It's deflected in front of the goal. Salming again messed it up the blue line, and St. Croix comes out. A minute 9 left on the power play for Toronto, and the Leafs lead it 1-0 on the goal by Rick Five. Little cross up over there, and Canadians will kill a few seconds. Now they shoot it down the ice. That's Ryan Walter. Walter with Mondu up front, killing this penalty for Montreal. Robinson, the defenseman, on this side. Ludwig on the other, and the Leafs move in now. Coming in quickly, Daou stops over there, back to the blue line. A chance for Benning. Difficult angle, he can't shoot it. Benning hangs on to it wisely. Played it across the goal crease area, and the Canadians will clear it down the ice again.
Canadians not having a good record penalty killing. They are 20th in the 21-team NHL. 10 goals against, 29 times killing penalties.
20 seconds left on this power play. The shot didn't get through. Again, Five!
Making 11 goals against and 30 times shorthanded. Rick Five with his second of the night. Mick, he can drill them.
Well, this is just a case of being in the right place at the right time. That puck was bouncing around in the middle of the ice area. Watch this now. Five was just cruising off the wing. It went off the defenseman and laid there. And here comes Five into your screen right there. And bingo, that's when you're having a good year, when that puck just seems to be there and Five doesn't miss him too often.
Rick Five said to me this morning, he asked me first of all, Dick and Mickey, if this game was going east, and I said yes, it was, all over the country. And he said, say hello to Mom and Dad for me. Well, I said, well, you'll have to get a goal before he said, I'll tell you what, I'll get 2. So I don't know if he's through tonight, Mom and Dad, but down in Charlottetown, I know you're happy. So are the Leaf fans. All overs, he has given the Toronto Maple Leafs a 2-0 lead. That one from Anderson and Benning. 7:08. Here's another one off the goal post. Hot tonight, Rick Five. There he is, Rick Five, trying to get loose and cannot. And the Canadians will bring it out. Leafs lead 2-0. Korn breaking it up at the blue line. Canadians shoot it in, and they're offside.
You've read my name in all the papers and how I solved the Keystone Caper. Keystone Kelly is my name. Catching crooks is my game.
Introducing a hilarious new video game. Keystone Capers for the Atari 2600.
Harry Hooligan was loose in the department store and me in pursuit from floor to floor. I ran and leaped and jumped and ducked with a bit of Irish luck. I nabbed the bloke and saved the day. When Kelly's on the beat, I never fail.
Keystone Capers, designed by Gary Kitchen for Activision.
Dale McCord is wearing number 12 for Toronto, playing his first game in a Maple Leaf uniform. There he is, going in. Over on the far side, McCord got in position, didn't get a pass, and Lehman fades back to center ice. Tremblay is on there with Mondu and Naslund as Graham picks it up for Toronto. Graham, weak shot, wide of the net. Lehman knocked the puck into the corner again. Lehman fades back to the point area. Graham flattened. Lehman couldn't keep it in. And a penalty coming up against Lehman on that play as Tremblay was upended.
A Panasonic microwave oven? It's like having a helping hand in your kitchen.
This'll start you off right.
Thanks. Panasonic Genius Auto sensor controls take care of everything.
There you are, sunshine.
And for even cooking, the Panasonic cook-around turntable really helps you outdo yourself.
Voila, chicken Marengo Napoleon.
Panasonic microwave cooking. So advanced.
It makes your choice simple.
See you tomorrow.
Gary Lehman in the penalty box for Toronto Maple Leafs, and now the Canadians trailing Toronto 2-0, have an opportunity on this power play. And their power play lately, Dick,
It's been working very well. They were frustrated in Minnesota the other night, had 6 chances before they finally scored, and that time in the third period they were up by 2.
Let's see Acton now and see what he does. Looks for Robinson, but it was a bad pass, and it goes all the way down the ice. Lafleur speeding away. Look at him go. Lafleur to center. Crowd on him. He nearly got through. Stopped, though, by Jim Corn. Terrion back in with Harris. The penalty killers up there for Toronto. Canadians will try it again. Lafleur once more from center. Shoots it in. 1:15 left on the penalty. Terrion trying to pick it up. Lost it. Acton let it go by. Back to the line. They keep it in. That was Robinson stopping it. In front. Walter took a quick shot. St. Croix looked sharp on that save. 2-0 Toronto. On a power play, the Canadians. Acton to the side of the net. Acton again. And once more, St. Croix stopped that. Leafs now trying to clear it. They do. That was Billy Harris. 40 seconds left on the penalty. Lehman of Toronto is in the penalty box. Canadians try to get it moving again. They have 35 seconds on the power play, and here's Lafleur again. Tipped it in over the line. Mondu around the boards, all the way by Tremblay, back to Robinson. Robinson can't keep it in. Leafs killing this penalty rather effectively. Lafleur again. Lafleur waits in the center ice area. 15 seconds remaining on this power play. Lafleur going in. Lafleur jamming on the brakes to Robinson. He'll get a shot away and just missed the net. Naslund into the corner with it. Leafs trying to hang on now, and they've done it. Lehman is back on the ice. The penalty is over. Toronto 2, Montreal nothing. Both goals by Rick 5 of the Maple Leafs. And the Canadians start away, led by Delorme, the defenseman moving up. Couldn't get a shot away. Salming tied him up with the help of Jim Benning.
Excuse me, Dick. It's not difficult to see why Canadians are having problems on a power play watching that one. They hardly got a good opportunity on the Leaf net. And there we have acting executive producer Bob Gordon with Canadian Sports Network, sitting with Mr. Ballard tonight. Private box.
The thing the Canadians are doing on the power play, though, this year, and it has produced results, Mick, they're working. I mean, that's the key to a power play. You've got to keep moving. Last year, they were in all kinds of trouble, and deservedly so, because they didn't work at it.
Here's Nyland, again stopped by St. Croix. He's had 7 saves so far in this first period. Canadians were in pretty well on some of them, too. St. Croix has been very steady in the first 10 minutes of this game. Leafs get to center. Salming knocked down. Back in front to Lego. He just missed that far post. Here's Lehman. He's back of the net. Got it in front to Lego again. And they just barely keep that one out.
Boy, 70 picked that one, Dick, right out of midair off the stick of Bill Lego.
Some extracurricular pushing and shoving in front of the net, while the Leafs, who have had enough trouble with injury, have another one now.
Preacher.
There's the Preacher, who missed most of the training camp period.
Yes, he did.
He's on the lip now as he leaves the ice. As we take a look at it here, he was down behind the net. We can pick it up as to what happened.
Preacher right to the left, Dick, and he got hit from behind by Ludwig. And, of course, he was out with some knee problems. He no sooner got back, and his 2 line mates, Inachek and Podubny, went down with injury. So the Leafs can ill afford to lose him again, and he's played well since coming back.
He goes to the Leaf bench, favoring the left leg. So they're checking it in back of the bench area.
If there's any good news about that for Preacher and the Leafs, I think it might have been his ankle this time, not the knee. Here's another chance for 5. Appears to be the ankle of Preacher. We should get a report on his condition shortly. Canadians coming back. Jean Hamel is number 28. Couldn't move it out. 5 cruising in front of the net again. Here's Anderson tipping it to Benning. Benning going in front of the net it goes. And Benning on the shot. was Daou.
Boy, that was a good play, Bob. That was a perfect setup, wasn't it, from Benning?
It sure was. Well, you see, Hamel did not want to put his hand over that puck for fear of getting a penalty for delay of game, but let's see how it happened. Benning with the fake and right across the front of the net. See, Sevigny, all he could do was throw his body in front of it, but fortunately Hamel got in the way and blocked the shot from Dan Daou. And then the pileup followed.
Against the Canadians, Bob, I think Daou might be just a little over-anxious. His former team, albeit briefly.
Bob Berry was saying this morning he heard that here's 5 again. Didn't miss by much. He whistled one high. He heard Daou wasn't playing all that well so far this season, but he said, watch tonight. He'll be hot. Always happens. Here's a break going in. It's Anderson. What a save by Sevigny. Live from Toronto, Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
It's time for Molson Oktoberfest beer. It's time again. It comes once a year. So raise up your glasses and give us a cheer. 'Cause now is the time for Oktoberfest beer.
Oktoberfest, the beer that Molson brews and bottles only for this season, with Bavarian hops for an authentic European taste at regular prices.
It's time for Molson Oktoberfest beer.
Welcome to Molson Oktoberfest 83.
Well, just a moment ago here, a giveaway in the Canadian zone. Robert Picard intercepted by Anderson. Nick Sevigny had to be awfully good right
You
here.
betcha, and you know where Picard is right now?
Bench.
On the bench.
Toronto 2 and Canadians nothing with 8:10 remaining in this opening period. And the Leafs have come awfully close, as you just saw, to making it 3-0. Here's Daou. Can't handle a pass with his skate. Carbonell going in with Shutt. Shutt flipped it on the board. St. Croix stopping it back there. The shots are 7-5 for Montreal, but the score is 2-0 Toronto. Down the ice it goes. It'll be icing against the Maple Leafs as Ludwig goes back. Now we have another NHL update for you, so here's Brian McFarland.
And the Vancouver Canucks have tied it at the Northlands Coliseum. 1-1 the score, 15:02 of the first period, and it's on the power play. Rota will score from Smeal and Bubla. Here's the play. Good behind-the-back pass from Smeal right onto the stick of Rota. He slides it under Fuhr, and it's a 1-1 tie. Vancouver at Edmonton.
Thank you, Brian. And Brian McFarland will be monitoring that game throughout the evening. We'll see all the highlights here on Hockey Night in Canada. The Canadians trailing by 2. Lafleur trying to poke it loose. Grabbed quickly by Nigro. Then Graham. And off it goes to center ice, and Lafleur is back. But look out, Nigro intercepts. But that's called offside at the Canadian blue line.
Boy, I don't know. This is giveaway time, and Coach Barry can't be too happy. And we saw Mick on the replay from Edmonton. That was the Oilers had the puck. They were killing them suddenly. They just threw it out and didn't clear the zone.
Right.
So dangerous.
I was going to say we had a chance to watch Vancouver and Montreal last week, and that power play of theirs is really working well. But Canadians are throwing the puck away an awful lot tonight. And it's been pretty well all Leafs, even though the shots on goal don't indicate it. Leafs have had many scoring chances here in the first 12 minutes of the game.
McCourt with Nigro and Graham for Toronto. Lafleur, Acton, and Shutt for Montreal. Nigro spotting McCourt. He didn't shoot it. McCourt still with it. Tried to slide it in front, and Delorme took it away from him. Delorme has to go back again. Here comes Nigro. He and Hamel bump together. Now Graham took a check on the boards. They try to hold it. It comes loose to Graham. He can't spot anybody open. Lafleur gets it out to Shutt at center. Shutt going in. He was bumped. Good play by the Leaf defensemen, Salming and Lehman. They move it down the ice rather well. Hamel spinning away. Missed Lafleur with that pass. And it goes in wide of the net. So icing is called against Montreal.
Steve Shutt on the Canadians bench. He is 7 goals short of the 400 career mark, but I would have to think his main feeling right now is frustration. Shutty has just 1 goal so far this season, and that is not Steve Shutt type production.
Well, Jacques Lemaire told us before the hockey game he's looking for big games out of both Lafleur and Shutt tonight. And Lafleur started with a real flurry, I guess, in the first 6 games. Dick had a goal in each game, and the last 2 really not been the same. The 12-2 victory in Winnipeg, and of course the 5-4
win the other night in Minnesota in overtime.
Terrion, Gavin, and Harris for Toronto. They're a little anxious again. That's Mario Tremblay, 14. Naslund and Mondu. Lehman and Salming, the Leaf defenseman. 2-0 Toronto. Both goals by Rick Vaive. Harris got it back on the draw to Terrion. Terrion faked the pass, got it in front. It was deflected to center ice. But the Leafs showing signs of taking charge of this hockey game early. They're leading 2-0. Don't go away, though, Dick. They led 2-0 early last Saturday. Ended up having to score 10 goals to win it. Tremblay dropped it to Mondu. Backhand shot stopped by St. Croix. Another shot off the leg and bounced out to Gavin. Back with Terrion and Harris. Gavin carries to Terrion. He was checked from behind neatly. Then he was knocked to the ice. Naslund coming in. Tremblay to Naslund. Naslund tried to center it. Naslund again has a chance. Got it in front. Back to the line. It's kept in by Root. A good play. Naslund in the corner. Fans thought maybe it was offside. That's Parrish dumping it to center ice. 5:40 remaining in the period. Canadians and Leafs, they're both changing now. Coming back to center. Canadians shoot it in. That's Picard, 24. Wickenheiser went in. Walter over there, bumping with his man. There's Wickenheiser getting it loose. Back to the net, bending for Toronto. He'll try to carry a bit. Couldn't move it out. Hunter went after it. Again, Canadians spot a man loose, and it's Walter's shot wide. Hunter tied up by Parrish in front of the netminder, Rick St. Croix. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Toronto.
Fred Fletcher divides his time around work, the local kids, and his family. As his London life agent, I spend my time with other important things, like his financial planning.
We have a trophy for you, Mr. Fletcher. You're the greatest.
I can design a sound financial plan for you, the way I did for Fred. Your plan may not be like his, though, because at London Life, we feel every life is something special.
Our update game tonight is Vancouver at Edmonton. It's tied there, 1-1. Brian McFarland is watching that game for us. We'll have the highlights here on Hockey Night in Canada. I'm Bob Cole with Dick Irvin and Mickey Redmond tonight in Toronto. And the Leafs lead 2-0. Canadians coming in now. A chance here for Montreal. Wickenheiser couldn't find it. St. Croix without a goal stick. They hustle it back to him. That was Jim Corum, the defenseman, and finally they freeze it, but Wickenheiser came very close.
Oh, boy. You know, the minutes closer than that, Dick. They couldn't get the puck under their feet.
Mickey, that must be a funny feeling. I'm sure you were involved in it. The net's wide open. All you got to do is put it in if you can get it.
Well, you can't get the darn thing out of your feet. Watch Ryan Walter here in this replay. First of all, it's Hunter, and then over to Wickenheiser. He can't get a hold on it. Sometimes you wish you had a stick that was only about 1.5 feet long so you could reach down and grab it, but
Walter again got it back. The shot was on. St. Croix covered the angle. Wickenheiser with Hunter and Walter for Montreal. Martin up there for Toronto. Didn't work. Hunter brings it back in. Tried to get away from Corn and couldn't. Martin missed the pass from Gingras. It floats down into the Montreal zone. Ludwig, number 17, left it for Robinson, and he's starting away, but didn't get very far. Walter carries on, faking the shot. Gingras stopped it. Chance for Canadians. Another shot. Oh, they missed two golden opportunities. St. Croix has been hot and a little bit lucky on that flurry. Carbonneau. Wow, there he is again. Flipped it through Nyland. Trying to do it again. Nyland with Gainey in front of the net. And back is 5, and he knocked his man down. Carbonneau ran into him and fell to the ice.
You see
3:50 left in the period.
Watch out for Nyland and Salming. They're about ready to go at it down there.
Now, Guy Carbonneau had a tremendous chance. That puck came right on his stick. Mickey was right in the slot area.
Another giveaway. He walked in and blasted it, and out came St. Croix to cut down the angle. Then the thing started to bounce, and you see Carbonneau there wanted to take a swipe at it. He knew the puck was over his shoulder, and it would have been called anyway, and he had to wait for it to come down. But St. Croix, big when he has to be here in the first period.
He has been very good, Mickey. Some good chances by Canadians, but St. Croix has been very steady. Leafs lead it 2-0. Long pass back to the line. That was nearly a giveaway. Delorme had it hop over his stick with Anderson cruising, and he can really speed. Had he knocked it down, he was gone.
Interesting matchup out here right now at center ice. You had Guy Carbonneau and you had Dan Daou, and it was Carbonneau who took the job away from Daou in Montreal last year, and Daou ended up getting traded.
Did they not feel, Dick, that they were pretty equal in talent over there? And really, after Daou got traded, Carbonneau did not play all that well in Montreal.
Funny thing about Carbonneau, he was benched earlier this year after a couple of games and played his best after coming off the bench and getting back again. So he needs some prodding, I guess, a little bit.
Well, sometimes that's the case when you have a couple of guys vying for a position and one gets traded. The other one feels he's got it made now and sort of sits back and relaxes. But not with Canadians. With 6 or 7 extra bodies, they've got lots of people to go in the lineup.
Hunter is out on the right wing now with Shutt on the left side, and Acton is at center ice.
There has been a lot of line juggling tonight. Bob Barry of the Canadians and this man, Mike Nicholas of the Maple Leafs. And it's very hard to get a handle on the matchups here right now. And, of course, Nicholas, having home ice, has the last change.
Well, Bob Nicolak was saying he needed some good goaltending after last Wednesday's game against Quebec, and he certainly seems to be getting it here tonight from Rick St. Croix.
2-0 Toronto. Daou with 5 and Anderson. Both goals by Rick 5 in this first period. Bill Root hopping behind the net for Canadians. Got a pass away, stop near the line, leaves cover up. Lose it again. Daou got it back. Shutt chasing him. The pass to Korn. Korn ripped one over to the far side. There goes 5 again. Ludwig couldn't stop him. 5 gets it back beautifully. Daou couldn't get a shot away, though. Good play by Rick 5. Eluding Craig Ludwig over there on the boards. He just barreled his way through. So he's come to play tonight, 5 has. He has 2 goals so far. Shutt. Stop. Anderson gets away. He's all alone. 4 Canadians are back. And Anderson still has it. Now he's against 5 Canadians. Finally, Anderson spun around and off the puck. Stopped again just outside the line. That was Nigro. 2:20 left of the period. The Canadians, Bill Root, shooting a long one in. Grabbed by St. Croix. Naslund is in, so he hangs on to it.
There's nothing like an early morning shower. It leaves everything so clean and fresh. Just like a shower with my Irish Spring, with springtime freshness in every bar. In these green and white stripes are 2 deodorants to leave you feeling clean and fresh a long, long time. Irish Spring. Now that's my kind of soap.
And we like it too.
Irish Spring leaves you feeling clean and fresh a long, long time.
Canadians coming into this season with 4 coaches. That has to be something new in Montreal for sure.
Well, 3.5. Jacques Plante is a sometimes coach, though he has been with the team since the beginning of training camp. Jacques will be leaving the club in a couple of weeks' time, coming back a couple of times during the season from now on, and then will be with the team through the playoffs, which the Canadians hope lasts a little longer than has been the case in the past couple of years.
Long shot from the line, tipped away by St. Croix. Lemaire and Lapierre are, of course, the other 2 coaches, along with head coach Bob Berry. Mike Nicolak and Dan Maloney for Toronto. Canadians are off tomorrow. They'll play at home against Minnesota on Tuesday. The Leafs go to Philadelphia tomorrow. Paul Matier will play in goal for the Maple Leafs tomorrow. Tonight, it's Rick St. Croix. Naslund goes in front of the net. There's a weak shot from this side. That's grabbed by Rick St. Croix, and he hangs on again.
The Canadians are being given some opportunities really by the Leafs, but they're not really capitalizing on them. They're not getting real good shots outside of Carbonneau's. It's about the best chance of the period. There's the big man the Canadians, Dick, cannot afford to be without.
Remember the days, not that long ago, when Larry Robinson would come in here, and it was always the Robinson-Salming rivalry as to who was the top defense man. Boy, those were great times.
You know, Robinson used to lug the puck a lot more than he does now. Of course, he played a lot of hockey in the past 3-4 years with the Team Canadas, and after the seasons were over, and a lot of ice time with Canadians. And
Wickenheiser, Lafleur, Walter, Delorme back at the blue line, hoping it'll come back there. It does not. It goes to Jim Corrin with 1 minute and 35 left in the period, and the Leafs up by 2 goals. 2 by Rick Five. Tyrion and Harris with Gavin. They shoot it down the ice. Icing waved off. Ludwig going back to the net for Lafleur. He lost it, but the Canadians pick it up and get it across the line to the center ice area, and Leafs come back. Lafleur nearly stole it. 1:10 left in the period. Tyrion given a bump. Delorme feeds it ahead. Walter couldn't pick it up, and Lafleur's turning again, dropping it back. And now, as Ludwig goes back, we have 1 minute remaining in the period, and the Leafs lead by 2. Canadians dearly would love to score now before this period is over. Puck goes back too far. They call it offside.
Craig Ludwig, the young man from Eagle River, Wisconsin, via the University of North Dakota, has been, without a doubt, the most improved player on the Canadians this year, and overall, through their first 7 games, their best defenseman. And he got his first National Hockey League goal in his 86th NHL game the other night in Winnipeg. It was a lame duck. Mick hit a stick and dribbled in.
He'll take it, though, won't he?
That's your life.
Benning fired it in. 45 seconds to play as Carbonneau picks it up. Carbonneau didn't get very far. Martin was checking him closely. Derlego was on there also, and Preacher is back on. Preacher, number 14, on the right wing. Derlego couldn't stop Robinson. Robinson boots it down, keeping it in, but the Leafs now will clear it. Preacher gets it across the line to center ice to Martin. 23 seconds left in the period. Sevigny out of the net. To leave it there for Gainey, who took a light bump. Martin ran into his man. In the corner. Long pass ahead by Nyland. Floats down the ice. Carbonneau is in first. Centered it. Good play by Carbonneau. 5 seconds left. Robinson. That shot stopped into the corner again, and the horn goes to end the first period. Rick Five, 2 goals, so after 1 period here in Toronto, it's Toronto 2 and Montreal nothing. Now let's go to this week in the NHL.
This week in the NHL, winless Washington coach Brian Murray hopes for help from a big trade. Toronto's Gary Nyland skates again and hopes to be back by Christmas. And Paul Baxter makes his presence felt in a Calgary uniform. Coming up next on This Week in the NHL.
You know, I happened to tell my Allstate agent about how everything I have 2 of.
Hi, Dad.
All right. Like 2 cars, he asked? Maybe Allstate's 2-car discount can save you money on insurance. Allstate sure saves me. I can use the money.
Noah, dinner!
1 wife.
Bring in your policy. Allstate's multi-car discount may save you money. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Mr. Hall, I've won! My Lotario ticket, I've won!
Well, let's go in and check it.
I've matched 3 numbers.
Well, that's $5. You did win.
Oh, my goodness.
Had quite a few winners last week.
Really?
Oh, and here's something. It says that every week, about 100,000 people in Ontario win a cash prize for only $1.
Well, I'm going to play an extra ticket. And what's your favorite number? 39.
That's right.
I told you this was fun.
For 29 years, Advanced Floor and Wall Covering has been selling carpets from one of Windsor's largest in-stock inventories. With 40 store buying power, carpeting from all the major mills is available at low prices. See the selection of all-wool Oriental rugs, imported and domestic ceramic tile, vinyl no-wax flooring, and a beautiful display of over 40 hardwood floor samples, all installed by their own skilled workmen. Advance Your Carpet Center, centrally located at McDougall and Eugenie.
Now, from the Hockey Night in Canada Control Center, this week in the NHL, an inside look at the past week's activity throughout the league. Here is Dave Hodge.
This week's top individual accomplishment belonged to LA's Bernie Nichols. Winless until Thursday, the Kings upset Edmonton 7-2 for their first victory. Nichols scored 4 goals. He assisted on 2 others, and needless to say, he hopes that victory will be a boost to the Kings.
If this isn't a turning point, nothing will. You know, we beat one of the best teams in the league, so to beat them, then why can't we beat everybody else?
Still winless are the Washington Capitals, and they're hoping for a boost from a former Los Angeles King. Larry Murphy goes to Washington for Brian Engblom and Ken Houston, and Capitals coach Brian Murray explains exactly what the Caps hope to gain.
I think anytime you give up a player the quality of Brian Ingblom, quality as a person, and an on-ice player, it's very difficult. But we feel that getting a 22-year-old Larry Murphy, big, strong, offensive-type person is going to add a dimension that our hockey club at this point does not have or did not have.
Capitals in a puzzling slump. But one team that is off to a faster start than anyone had a right to expect is St. Louis. Here's their coach, Jacques Demers.
Players, they perform to expectation right now, maybe a little more, because we'd be happy to be a 500 hockey club, but we're more than that. Hopefully it's going to continue around those lines. And I think the key is we've built a team. We're not depending on 4 or 5 individuals. We're depending on a team concept where 20 guys to win hockey games got to participate. There's still a lot of games left, and we got to continue the intensity and the desire that we've built, and character's got to keep going because there's a lot of competition in the NHL.
In 1977, Dale McCourt was the first player selected in the NHL amateur draft. Until sometime earlier today, it appeared he might be unwanted as a National Hockey Leaguer, but that's obviously not the case. He was wanted by the Leafs and probably by some other teams. How many?
Well, there were a couple other teams, but that's all in the past right now. I'm just happy to be here in Toronto.
All right, we'll talk about the present then. Why Toronto to resume your career?
Well, I think a number of things. Number one, I think they have a strong club with some young hockey players here, and naturally, hopefully, they're going to be in the playoffs. And I think a little bit of taste in that in Buffalo. It was nice to know that coming to a team has a very good chance of being there.
To some, the story of Dale McCourt is one of decline and fall since 1977. How would you evaluate your career?
Well, I think, there's been a lot of ups and downs, and I think it's tough, for me to look at it right now and shed some light on it. I'm just looking ahead right now, and hopefully things are going to work out well here.
Allow me to look back just once more. 1978 was an event in your life that undoubtedly changed it. I don't really know how much, but the whole litigation regarding the move to Los Angeles, the compensation for Vachon, do you think it affected your career as much as some other people do?
Well, again, that's tough to say. I guess you could sit here and say, geez, I should have went, but I don't think, I thought the decision I made was the right one at the time, and I stuck by it, and that's the way it stands.
I'm sure there are people who wonder whether the move to put on a Toronto uniform has anything to do with the fact that your famous Uncle George used to wear it so proudly.
Well, I think probably in the back of my mind, I think any little kid in Canada growing up always wanted to wear a Leaf uniform, and it certainly feels good.
Hope you wear it well.
Thank you, Dave.
Coming up next, more on This Week in the NHL.
Canfor embossed panel wood.
He's no longer, but Toronto's Gary Nyland, every bit the hot prospect like the others, still waits to become a full-fledged NHLer. Vic Rauter reports.
Standing on the sidelines watching his teammates is nothing new for the Leafs' Gary Nyland. Last year in his first season, he played just 16 games. This year, he hasn't played any, and he won't for at least another month. Now, it was a dream come true for Gary Nyland back in August of 1982 as he signed with his boyhood idols, the Maple Leafs. But since then, the dream has been shattered by 2 operations on his left knee last season, and this year, a training camp bout of mononucleosis.
Infectious mononucleosis is a viral infection which disseminates through the entire body. It tends to settle in the throat, and you get a sore throat in the lymph glands, you get swollen glands in the liver and the spleen. Gary, unfortunately, had a widespread infection with mono, and all of those areas were inflamed. Gary's attitude has been great. His recovery has been relatively rapid, and we're very hopeful that he'll be the one of the ones who eliminates the virus quickly.
Well, the mono, there's no way that was going to keep me out for longer than, a couple weeks, and that's all it kept me out for. I mean, I went through 2 operations. I wasn't going to be held back by that, and I wasn't. So as far as that's concerned, it's gone. I don't want to hear any more about it. But the knee is still, a little bit sore, and like you said, mentally, it really hurt me there for a while, especially when I was in the cast, and there was so much uncertainty. You got an 80% chance of it working, but but that 20% always plays on your mind, and I thought about that for, well, it's been 7 months now.
Any fear that mentally he might be hurt and he might not come back?
Well, that's something that Gary has to work out between himself and his conscience, I guess, that I'm sure that's going to bother him. 2 operations on his leg, but knowing the character of this individual, I'm sure he's going to overcome that.
And there's been no pressure put on me to come back, and I think that's probably the number one thing that's probably kept me going, is that they said just come back when it doesn't hurt, come back when it doesn't hurt, and you know, I'm almost there now. I just needed about another month, and I'll have reached it again.
And with your birthday next week, maybe the real present won't come for a month's time.
Right, but when it does come, it'll be a happy one. I mean, if you would have told me a year and a half ago that I'd be 20 years old before I played in the NHL, I would have laughed at you, but that's the way it's come, and I just have to accept it and do my best.
Even though Nyland's NHL career is only 16 games old, he showed more than enough in those 16 games last season to make the Leafs realize he's well worth waiting for. Hockey Night in Canada continues in just a moment. Tuesday night, the Calgary Flames upended the New York Islanders in more ways than one. The Flames have added aggressiveness and defense from rookie Keith Hansen and from veteran free agent acquisition Paul Baxter, who introduces himself to Greg Gilbert of the Islanders. Stastny from Stastny and Stastny sounds almost routine, and sometimes it looks that way too, but these 3 brothers are so skillful. Peter drops to Marion, who finds Anton, and the Stastnys help Quebec beat the Bruins. Pierre LaRouche is a big reason for the Rangers' fast start. Calgary's Paul Reinhart will clear the puck. Safely? No, sir. LaRouche, right out of midair, takes the puck and gives himself a breakaway and scores his 6th goal of the season. Now it's time for our Panasonic Play of the Week, and it comes from last Sunday's game, New York Islanders at Buffalo. It was the first NHL start for Islanders rookie goaltender Kelly Hrudey, and he got lots of help from several different sources, this time from veteran defenseman Denny Potvin. The Sabres all over the Islanders. Hrudey right out of position. 1 save by Potvin. Phil Housley is stopped mid-air by Potvin. Pierre LaRouche can do that too. Let's look at it again as the Sabres seem certain to score a goal. They lost this one 3-2, so this could have been the play of the game. It was indeed the play of the week by Denny Potvin.
The play of the week has been brought to you by Panasonic, just slightly ahead of our time.
Love the house.
Second period. Tony Tanti has tied Wayne Gretzky for the goal-scoring lead, picking up his 11th on the power play here. Kevin McCarthy gets the assist. He takes the first shot, the rebound to Tanti. It's in the net at 1:39 into the second period with Coffey in the box. That was on the power play. And now Rhoda comes back just 20 seconds later and scores through the legs of Grant Fuhr. Rhoda from Smeal at 1:59. There's your score. The Canucks 3, the Oilers 1 early in the second period. Now let's go to Dick Irvin.
Well, Brian, here in Toronto, 2 goals for Rick Vaive, numbers 6 and 7 on the year for the Maple Leaf captain. Dan Daoust assisting him at 1:52. And Anderson and Benning on a Toronto power play assisting Vaive at 7:08. And that was the scoring story of a period, Mickey, which saw the Canadians, as you see, out shooting the Leafs 13-5. But Montreal with, I don't know, I thought they lacked a little bit of bite and zip when they got a chance close to the Toronto net.
Well, they certainly weren't sharp, Dick. They didn't finish off very well around the net. Those shots are not indicative of all of the play in that first period. I thought the Leafs had 4 or 5 super scoring chances and could have scored more than the 2 goals. You know, it's a funny thing sometimes. If you don't capitalize on your chances, sometimes it can come back to haunt you. And, boy, the Leafs better be careful of that. They can't afford to keep missing the way they have, because Canadians, for the most part, are not going to sit back and wait for it to happen. They're going to come out, probably Bob Cole, in the start of this period and really let it all hang out.
And Dick, talking to some of the French reporters this morning from Montreal, a couple of them had Canadians down to finish 4th in their division. And already.
Already now. See, I thought after 3 straight wins they'd be talking first.
Well, we'll see what happens to Canadians here against the Maple Leafs in the second period. Harris shakes loose from Hunter. Picked up the puck and then was bumped on the board. Canadians Ludwig in the corner starting up. The big defenseman whipped it ahead. Hunter's pass to Acton speeding in. Shot in front of the net. Acton around the goal. Centered it. Down goes St. Croix. They score. St. Croix went down quickly, tried to find it. It hit a skate, I think. And he was a little too late. It's across the line of the Canadians in 28 seconds. have got their goal.
All right, Mickey, you tell me how it went in.
Mr. Hunter was Johnny on the spot this time. Acton doing all the work, and there was Hunter right at the doorstep to jam it underneath St. Croix before he could cover up on it. But the little guy Acton with the great speed. Look at him cut to the outside. Nobody can touch him. Jams it in. It almost went in there, but there is Mark Hunter to come along and ram it in. And boy, I was just going to say the next goal in this game is going to be important because of the way the first period developed. But here we are, Canadians right back in.
28 seconds. 2-1 Toronto. And in other games around the league. You heard about that one. That's our update game. We'll keep you up to date as we move along. 5 different scores for Quebec. Detroit leading. And there's his surprise. The Rangers this season. What a start they're off to. This 83-84 season. Finally, Washington, Dick, getting it going. The Bruins over Pittsburgh. These games will be later. New Jersey at L.A. That won't start till about 11 o'clock our time. Here it's 2-1 as the Canadians storm back here in the early going in the second period. Shutt fired it in. It's offside.
Well, there's a look at Stu Gavin, who will get some more playing time now with the injuries, as we mentioned, to Podebny and Inicek. And Gavin, a good, hard-working two-way player. Assists on that goal by Hunter, his second of the year. Of course, Keith Acton with the great speed on the outside, and Naslund. So it's given to us anyway. We'll have to see if there's a change on that. But Acton definitely got one assist on the play.
The puck did hit Salming's skate first and then rolled right in front of Rick St. Croix. And the goaltender couldn't find it.
As it stands now, it's Hunter from Acton and Naslund.
And the Canadians have outshot Toronto 15-5 up to this point. Hamel, 28 for Canadians, back of the net, waiting. Gainey comes to the left wing boards. The pass off the boards doesn't move out. Leafs, Derlego got it in front. Back to Derlego again. Taking a look in front of the net. Martin had it hit a skate and was gloved ahead. So that's whistled back for a face-off in the zone, but Martin came close.
Well, there's the man who gloved it ahead, Jean Hamel, picked up by the Canadians in the waiver draft 2 or 3 days before the season began. A much-traveled defenseman, St. Louis, Detroit, Quebec, with some minor league stops along the way, 31 years of age, but a player who, Mick, I've always thought gave 110%, to use the overused cliche. You played with Jean briefly in Detroit, did you not?
I did. Jean spent 7 years in Detroit, and a couple of those years I was still playing, and he does give you everything he's got out there, and good, solid defense. He likes to use that body. He's very, very strong back there on defense.
And Rick Five, who has both Toronto goals tonight, is on with Daou and Anderson. Again, Five with a hard shot. High and wide. High bump. Digs on it. Daou in front. Goes by. Gingras, speaking of hard shots, didn't get one away very well. Lafleur speeding away. Here's Wickenheiser in front. Lafleur shot. Look out! Dribble just wide of the far post. Lafleur, difficult angle, but he is always dangerous. In on the boards. It comes loose. Back to the line. Root. Shot was wide. And goes bouncing all the way down the ice. Hamel is coming back. 2 minutes gone now in the second period. Canadians have scored early. It's 2-1. Toronto Maple Leafs. Canadians poke it out. Gingras waits for Daou, then flipped it back in. Bill Root hopping on it quickly. Got away from a check. It comes this side. Walner's pass. Lafleur again. Korn watching Lafleur. Lafleur forced off to the corner by Jim Korn. Gingras gave it away to Robinson, pinching in. It's in front of the net. And Gingras let her go. Korn and Lafleur tied up in behind the Leaf goal. Hamel now starting out for Montreal. It's opened up a bit here now at this point of the second period. And the Canadians hustling in. They're within a goal now of the Maple Leafs, who have taken a 2-0 lead on the 2 goals by Rick Five. Leafs trying to clear it. Ludwig pinching in. He stopped it. Good move by the defenseman for Canadians. Gingras in back of the net against Mondu, falling on the puck. It is there, and they whistle it dead.
In major centers
Right there, he would have it. No problem.
Look at this thing.
Off the post.
Well, you see, he got taken out of the play
Good
neatly.
play.
I think it was Gingras that knocked him away from the net, but it was laying right there for Wickenheiser. Lafleur really flying on that one again, Dick.
Good play by the Leaf defenseman.
Tremblay's shot deflected away by St. Croix. Tremblay has it again for Canadians. Mondeau back to the net. Tried to center it. Canadians forcing the Leafs now inside that Maple Leaf blue line. Cleared out. McCourt couldn't move it across the line. St. Croix will try to move it out himself and can't. Tremblay back to the net. He sees Mondeau, who couldn't stop it. Coming in, Ludwig again. There's going to be a penalty on this play against the Maple Leafs. Canadians have possession. It comes to St. Croix. He couldn't stop it. Rolled off the side of the net, though, and now they call the play.
Could be another one there.
Tremblay is bumped over there.
Tremblay, I think, did the bumping. He ran into McCourt, and the stick came up, Dick, very high by Mario Tremblay. He'd be lucky if he doesn't get called as well.
Tonight's game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. 31 of the period, and the Canadians, trailing by a goal now, have the man advantage. Lafleur is on again. He has been skating well, especially here in this second period. Lafleur comes to the left side. Acton goes in behind the net. And Robinson will bring it out. Spotting Lafleur with shot on his left. Lafleur just shoots it in. St. Croix on it quickly, but gives it away. Acton was there. Got it back to Robinson. Lafleur poised. Shoots it. That's stopped by St. Croix. Robinson again. Into the corner. Flip back of the net. That's Hunter. Hunter looks out to Lafleur. And he stops now. Goes back in with it. Hunter gets set. Finally gives it to Lafleur. Back to Hunter. Hunter goes in. Slides it to the goal mouth. And shot. Usually scores on those opportunities. Just missed it. Went right by him. Terrion against Acton. Canadians have heat on Toronto now. Robinson again gets set. Robinson dropped it back. Lafleur winding up. The shot kicked out by St. Croix. Great pressure by Canadians. Robinson finally hit a leg with it, and Terrion scooped it down the ice. Robinson was back. 44 seconds left on the penalty to Toronto Maple Leafs. Nagro. Here comes Acton. Acton's pass hitting Shutt off the boards. Shutt flipped it back of the net. Acton goes in there with Tremblay. Acton going after it to Tremblay again. In the corner it goes. Shutt taking a look. Another long shot. That's off his skate. Bounced right to Lafleur, though. He centered it. Cleared by the goaltender, Rick St. Croix. Not out. Now it is. That's McCourt. Played it ahead. Gavin going in. Gavin, McCourt in front of the goal. Lafleur couldn't stop Gavin. Gavin bumped by Robinson. Lafleur against McCourt, got his pass away. Two Canadians on the move. Naslund coming in, dropping it back neatly. The penalty is over. Nagro back on the ice. Still 2-1. Toronto leading. In back of the net, Naslund lost a chance to move it. From the line, Root flipped it in. Back of the goal, Mondeau centered it. Canadians all over the Leafs at this point, but now McCourt to center ice. Nagro on the move. It hit the linesman, Randy Mitten. And the Canadians grab it. Ludwig to Naslund. Pass through center didn't work. Again, they flip it in over the line. Tremblay against big Jim Korn. Korn lost it. Canadians forechecking well now in this second period. That's Tremblay dropping it off the boards, but it goes down the ice. Hit a skate, and Bill Root just couldn't reach it. Nearing the 7-minute mark of the second period, Toronto 2 and the Canadians 1. Leafs led 2-0 at the end of the first period. Canadians out early in the second to get a goal. And they're within one now and coming close to tying it. Gainey, a backhander right in on the net. Benning on it quickly, takes it away from the goaltender, St. Croix. On the boards, he's stopped by Carbonneau, trying to get a whistle. They want to keep it moving, though. Finally, they have to call it. Trying to tie this game now. They're trailing by a goal. Long shot, just whistled by off the glove of Rick St. Croix. Canadians still with pressure on, though. Here's another chance. Comes back in front. Wickenheiser looking for Walter. Now he has him. Walter centered it. Walter again gets in. St. Croix stopped it. Down goes Salming, and he hangs onto it. We have an NHL update for you. Here's Brian McFarland.
It's now a 3-2 hockey game in Edmonton. The Oilers have scored on the power play. Gretzky gets a point, helping set it up along with Kevin Lowe, and Anderson finishes off the play, his 7th of the year at 8:41. This with McCarthy in the box. And it's a 3-2 game midway through the second period. Gretzky keeps his scoring streak alive.
And it's a 2-1 hockey game here in Toronto with 7:06 gone in the second period. The Leafs on 2 first-period goals by Rick Vive took a 2-0 lead. Mark Hunter has scored for the Canadians here in the second period. Mick, just to get back to those Vive goals for a minute, young hockey players watching, we like to point out things like this. The way that Rick Vive let those shots go so quickly, they were on his stick, zingo, in the net,
well,
no hesitation.
A lot of players would like to handle a puck quite a bit, stick handle it with a little bit first, but Vive just lets them go, and that's why he's a great goal scorer. Don't wait.
Canadians have taken charge here in the second period. They've got a goal, and they come very close on several occasions to tying it. And now it's Dow coming in with Vive and Anderson. They are called on the offside. This program is copyrighted. It is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, distribution, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited.
Well said. The Leafs haven't had a shot in this second period. The Canadians have had 9. They have outshot Toronto on the night 22-5. But the Leafs still lead it 2-1.
Well, the Leafs had it all their way in that first period. They're going to have to start to get something going of their own here offensively. Canadians will be tying this game very shortly.
Derlego with Martin and Preacher for the Maple Leafs. Carbonneau is on there for Montreal. Leafs keeping the Canadians inside their own line now. Derlego from the corner. Stopped by Hamel. In the corner is Preacher. Again, Brian McFarland, busy man tonight. This NHL update.
Pat Hughes has scored for the Edmonton Oilers, so it's a tie game midway through that second period in Edmonton tonight. Watch Hughes outwork Bubla for this puck. Gretzky gets a point on the play, helping steer it to Hughes. Now it's a race for the loose puck. Hughes goes in at 11:32, gets it up and over. Richard Brodeur, 3-3 tie at the Northlands Coliseum second period.
2-1 here. Toronto leading Montreal. Lehman is over there. He's number 4 for Toronto on the boards. Holds it with a skate for Preacher to come in. Dropped the pass back through his legs for Derlego. Derlego went off stride. Martin went after it. Now Preacher again in the corner. Delorme chasing him. A pass back here. Salming shot. Stopped by Sevigny. Good shot and a good save. All the way down the ice it comes. Icing will be called. Salming is back.
For all. The annual United Way campaign is now in full swing, and volunteers are working hard to raise this year's campaign goal. Give generously. It's the way for all.
2-1 Toronto over Montreal. 11:43 remaining in the second period. Sevigny had to stop that roller right from the draw. The Canadians now start out, led by Acton. Coming in, shot on the left side. Acton sent flying. There's Anderson golfing one off the boards and down the ice. Icing will be called now against Toronto as Ludwig goes back. Acton was really flying on that last play.
Dick, how many times have we seen Acton do the same thing that he did on the Canadians' first goal and tried to do it right there again? Almost drew a penalty against the Leafs. With those great speed of his, he just gets it going, and he can really make things happen in a hockey game.
I think if you were to keep track of such things, Mickey, over the course of a year, Keith Acton draws more penalties than anybody else in the Montreal team. Now, some people accuse him of taking the odd little dive once in a while, but again, it's that speed. Fast players draw penalties.
Acton was asking me this morning to say hello to his friends and family in Stouffville down the road here in Ontario. So there you go. Mom and Dad. Keith Acton, number 12 with Canadians. Here he is with the puck. Acton nearly got loose. Robinson, number 19, into Acton again, fighting for it with Lafleur. Shot in front. Lafleur tried to set up shot, but the goaltender, St. Croix, anticipated that move and stopped it. Again, we have an NHL update for you. And again, here's Brian.
And they're opening up at the Northlands Coliseum. The Vancouver Canucks have taken a 4-3 lead as the Tiger begins to roar here. Scores his second of the year, taking an assist from Tandy and Hallward. 2 points for Tandy in the game, 2 for Gretzky so far. It's 4-3 Vancouver.
Ryan's doing a great job of play-by-play, isn't he, tonight? That Edmonton game, he's calling everything.
Tiger Williams getting that goal, his second of the year, as Brian mentioned. He got his first against the Canadiens last Saturday night.
The Oilers with 7 goals against the Canucks in Vancouver on Wednesday night. Third period, 7 goals. Oh.
Quick shot from the draw by Hunter. He has scored the Canadiens' goal. He's on with Wickenheiser and Walter. Wickenheiser and Walter fighting for it. Hunter comes in to help. Greg Therion for Toronto with Gavin.
Oh, boy.
On the other side, Harris. Canadians keep it in. Walter tried to set it up. Walter again takes a look. Lost it against Therion. Canadians get it back. Play a little scrambly, but now Hunter shooting a high one. Way up high on the glass. Ludwig coming in from that blue line spot. They hold it on the boards.
At this time last year, Ryan Walter was just beginning to get accustomed to playing for the Montreal Canadiens after that much-discussed trade. He was on a line with Wickenheiser and Lafleur. They had a great start. The one thing that people said about Ryan Walter last season, he didn't play with the same toughness that he showed when he was a leader for the Washington Capitals, but that toughness has returned to his play to some degree this season. He's played some excellent games. Played a super game the other night in Winnipeg. He has to play that way, Mickey.
No, he sure does. He's a good, solid two-way hockey player. He'll score you some goals and also play good defense, and he does like to use the body and can do it very effectively.
The Canadiens with their top line these days of Mondu, Tremblay, and Naslund. Parrish, the defenseman, on there with Benning, and that's Parrish bringing it out. Decides to lug it himself across center. Parrish going in. Nice play for Gavin. Shot. Right on rebound. Another shot. And Therion nearly had one. So did Harris. The Leafs come close. The Canadiens break out again. Up to center. Naslund tried a shot from just across center. Tremblay went after it. Benning tied him up. There comes Parrish. He ran into it. Parrish again. Good rush that last play by Parrish. Got it up to Harris. A long shot by Harris. Sevigny blocked that easily. 22-9 the shots from Montreal to this point. They'll be called icing this time, though, with Korn coming back. Now they wave it off. Korn picks it up. 9:35 to play in the period. 2-1. Toronto leading from the blue line. A long play. Stop. Picard nearly gave it away again. He did that early. Resulted in a Toronto goal. 1 of 2 by Rick Vive. Gainey lost it. Now coming out, the Leafs to center ice. That's Nigro coming in. Nigro played it over in front. And again, the Canadians all back to cover up and clear it to the center ice area. With 9:05 to play, Nyland goes in, took a shot. That's grabbed by St. Croix, and he covers up. This game is coming to you from Toronto. The Leafs lead the Canadiens 2-1 at 9 minutes left in the second period. 2 goals by Rick Vive. The Canadiens' goal, Mark Hunter, here in the second period. Vive's 2 in the first. But the Canadiens are showing signs of storming on here in the second period. They have come mighty close to tying the hockey game. McCourt, playing his first game with the Toronto Maple Leafs, wearing number 12, goes over there. They hold it on the boards. And again, a busy Brian McFarland standing by with this NHL update.
And the Vancouver Canucks now hold a 2-goal lead over Edmonton. 5-3 the score now as Kevin McCarthy clicks, taking the pass from Sundstrom. Remember, the Oilers scored 7 times in the third the other night and beat the Canucks 10-7.
They must have watched our game here last Saturday night, 10-8 for Toronto over Chicago. So they're going all out there tonight in Edmonton.
Minnesota, Canadians scored 4 straight goals on them at the end of the game in Minnesota Thursday night, and Quebec gets 5 straight on them tonight, so they're being outscored lately 9-zip.
Wickenheiser, Lafleur, and Walter. Ludwig, the defenseman, poked at it. Here's Lafleur! Stop! Rebound is right there. St. Croix out quickly to cut that angle on Guy Lafleur, and you know he can pick his spots. But Lafleur was stopped. Lafleur again, keeping it in. There's Wickenheiser. Back here to Ludwig. In front of the net again. Canadians pass it around. Wickenheiser lost it. There goes Walter. Lafleur in front of the goal. Now Lafleur in looking for it with Wickenheiser bumping with his man. Comes loose off the boards. Ludwig for Walter. Gingras decides to relieve some pressure. This time it'll be icing for sure. goes down the ice with 8 minutes remaining in the second period.
Well, the honor of scoring the first overtime goal in the new era of regular season overtime fell to Doug Wickenheiser 2 nights ago in Minnesota. And he will be Dave Hodge's intermission guest during our upcoming second intermission. We are 7 minutes and 59 seconds of playing time away from that, with the Leafs leading 2-1.
Well, Mike Nicolak very concerned at this point that his Leafs have come out rather flat here in the second period, and Canadians have just come out flying and have controlled this period and many scoring chances, Dick. To this point, Sevigny has been sharp when he had to be in a couple of the Leaf chances.
You get a chance to talk about him, but when a goaltender stands there for 10 minutes and might have one decent shot, and then suddenly bing, bing, he gets a couple.
He's not warmed up.
No, exactly.
Acton, number 12, got the draw. It comes back to Delorme. Delorme fired it in behind the net. On the side is Steve Shutt. Hunter goes in front of the goal. Acton pushed around a bit by Jim Korn, but Acton still has it. Acton finally upended. Play goes right on, and the Leafs move down. Korn got rid of it, and he's off to the bench on a player change. Preacher couldn't stop it. It slides out to the center ice area. Shutt shoots along one end. Lehman is back there. Lehman poked at it. Delorme's shot stopped, and again St. Croix covering on his rebound.
Well, the game is over, and the Rangers have beaten the Islanders 3-2. Rogers, Osborne, and Sundstrom scoring for the Rangers. Persson and Langevin for the Islanders. That's our first final score that we have on our out-of-town board. And the Rangers are playing very well.
Sure are. Of course, that's the big rivalry there in New York with the Islanders. The Islanders didn't look too well the other night against Calgary. They got beat in Long Island by the Flames 4-3.
They never look well till May.
Well, I don't know how long that can last. There's a lot of big improvement in the NHL and a lot of teams this year to give them a run for it.
There's Preacher in for Toronto, and he's stopped. Leafs can't keep it in. Salming was beaten near the blue line. Naslund hooked it down the ice. That's 7:05 to play in this period. Preacher coming in again. It hopped over a couple of sticks. Preacher getting a break there and goes after it. Then he feeds it ahead, and it's stopped by Picard. Again, Terlego nearly stole it from Root this time. Mondu in across the line. He put himself offside, and it's called.
Well, there's something that we haven't seen yet this season, a win for the Washington Capitals. They defeated the Philadelphia Flyers 4-1 tonight at the Capitol Center. Gartner, Howarth, Veach, and Duchesne scoring for the Caps. Their first victory of the year. Darryl Sittler, the lone goal getter for Philadelphia.
It's such a big surprise, too, guys, because Washington, I think, went almost undefeated in the preseason. And you thought, boy, they're really going to come out flying this year, and well, all kinds of problems.
Interesting, they made that trade with L.A. Brian Engblom ending up in Los Angeles, and young Murphy going to Washington, and both teams won their first starts after the trade was made.
Don't say that, Dick. They'll be trading every day.
6:51 to play in this period. Toronto, Rick 5, 2 goals in the opening period, and early here in the second. Mark Hunter for the Canadians. There is 5. Scored his 6th and 7th goal of the season tonight. Showing signs of having another big year. Toronto Maple Leafs moving it up to center ice. That's Therion. He has Harris and Gavin with him. Carbonneau all over him. Coming back in, Naslund with Tremblay, and the Tremblay shot is stopped by St. Croix. It's centered. Gavin reaching for it. Gets it up to Harris. Harris with Therion. He didn't know he was up with him. Got rid of it. In back of the net, Sevigny had stopped it. And the Canadians. Robinson's pass. Ludwig bumped. Naslund poked it ahead to Tremblay. Now he has to wait for Naslund to come back out. And the Leafs. 5. Put it ahead. Anderson trying to go in. Anderson is knocked down. A penalty coming up against the Canadians, and I believe Robinson was injured on that play.
It looks like he is. He's favoring that left knee, Dick. Boy, oh boy.
Oh boy.
That could be dangerous.
Anderson and Robinson. Robinson checking on Anderson. Pulled down.
See if we can get a look at it here, Bob, on a replay as to what may have happened. It's the left knee that he's favoring. Now look at down they went, and Anderson came down on it. It looks like right there. Didn't look like he bent it back underneath Dick or anything, but he sure was favoring it when he came up off the ice.
So a dicey moment for the Montreal Canadiens as Larry Robinson draws a penalty on the play here at 13:53. Holding is the call on Robinson.
Getting up. It looks serious.
To the area leading into the Canadiens' dressing room. Robinson, as Mickey pointed out, favoring his left leg or knee. It's hard to tell at a distance, but the Canadiens' Big Bird is in obvious difficulty. We'll get a report as soon as we can, and that is obviously not good news for Bob Barry and company. Another angle, but watch the left leg of Robinson and just to see what did happen. Mick, was it hurt on the twisting down, or was it hurt when the Toronto player fell on it? I don't know.
Looking at the replay, you really couldn't tell, but he couldn't put any weight on that foot at all, or that leg, and they were taking him down to the dressing room, so let's hope it's not too serious.
And on the play, Robinson was penalized. 2 minutes. Nyland of Canadiens is serving that penalty. So the Leafs lead 2-1. And they have a man advantage now. Daou looks back to the blue line. Ferry shot. Stop, rebound. Hit the goal post. And Sevigny reached out to grab it.
Boy, the Canadiens lucky there.
Dick, you notice on the Leaf power play, Big Vive is just heading for the front of the net.
Right.
And he's a big fella, and he's got that stick on the ice. He's creating problems for the Montreal defense, as well as screening Sevigny, and the Leafs are moving that puck. Look at Vive now, in the middle of the screen, being tied up in front. You wonder how Sevigny can see anything in there. And there was Anderson with the rebound, and wrapped it off that right goal post.
Let's see the puck hit the post here in behind Sevigny off Anderson as he swings around right there, yeah.
Again, the Leafs power play to the blue line with it. Parrish a second time. He hit Daou. Here's Vive. He couldn't jam it in by Sevigny, who covered near the post. Back to the line. Parrish keeping it in again for Daou. Ludwig moves in. Can't clear it by Parrish. Bill Root will fire it on the boards. It's still not out. Root a second time, and he gets it down the ice this time. 1 minute and 20 seconds left in the Canadiens' penalty. Leafs lead 2-1 as Anderson comes in with Daou and Vive. Anderson getting in front. Here comes Vive. He missed Daou with that pass. Vive again on it quickly. Vive, who has 2 goals for Toronto, to Parrish. On the other side, Benning slides it in front. Anderson falls. Parrish keeping it in. But now the Canadiens shoot it down the ice. 55 seconds left in the penalty. There goes Acton in for checking. He's on as a penalty killer with Ryan Walter, number 11. And the Leafs to center, led by Derlego. Derlego going in, Acton caught up to him. Made a good play on it. Salming pitching in. That didn't work. And the Leafs have to go back again. 35 seconds left on the penalty. Nyland is serving the 2 minutes. Assessed against Robinson. Coming down. Gingras. And they're offside at the Canadian line.
Well, the Leafs guys are just not skating when they hit that Montreal blue line. As a result, they're getting some offsides like this one here. One man trying to do it all, and it just can't be done. They've got to come up that ice together, 3, 4, 5 strong, and try to make a play at that blue line.
Mickey, that was one area where you excelled. I know you excelled in many, but on the power play.
Well, the power play, you know, gives you a chance to do some extra things out there with the guy off the ice, and if you're not skating, you just won't get it done. It's no different than any other time. Even if you're even strength, you've got to skate to make things happen, even more so on a power play with the extra man off the ice.
Frazier knocked one down. 20 seconds left on this power play for Toronto. Frazier put it in front, but again Acton was right there to sweep it away and down the ice. Only 10 seconds left on the power play now, so the Canadiens have done a pretty good job while Nyland was serving that 2-minute penalty. He's back on now, so the penalty is over. The Leafs lead 2-1. Delorme went in there, and icing is called against Toronto.
Boy, he gave Martin a pretty good rap, too. Delorme, Dick, as you know, you watch him all year long. Look at Martin is going to the bench, favoring probably his shoulder or chest. Delorme has tremendous upper body strength.
It looked to me like Martin was the one who took the run at Delorme and got the worst of the exchange, as we see.
Well, he did, actually, because he could have gotten the puck originally, and it wouldn't have been an icing. He saw Delorme coming and decided to throw a shoulder into him, as you see. But you see how Martin bounced off. Delorme is tremendously strong.
He's a weightlifter, bodybuilder, what have you, and you look at him.
It shows.
Strapping kid. So there's Terry Martin, and he is getting his breath back and says to the trainer that he's okay. 4:03 left here in the second period.
Delorme still just 20 years old.
Wickenheiser against Terrion. They might be waved out. Terrion is. Wickenheiser remains.
Last time this happened, we had a goal for the Leafs.
And again, they're a little anxious. Randy Mitten, the linesman, waves them out again.
They're saying, come on, drop that thing and let us get out of here.
Well, there goes Wickenheiser.
Why don't you just throw them out together to start with?
Shut now for Montreal, and the draw by Harris, whipped by the net on the short side. St. Croix watching it. Up to center, Terrion missed it, but it goes over to Harris. They're called on the offside. It comes back. Tonight's game is coming to you from Toronto.
As you know, class Lotto 6
with Gavin and Harris. Mick, do you remember you led the league one year in power play goals?
Well, it's a long time ago. I can't remember yesterday.
21 goals. 21 goals with Detroit.
They get that in a half a season these days.
Is that 21 out of the 52, Mick, that year? Must have been.
I would think it would be, yes.
71, maybe? Can't remember the year.
2-3.
You gotta help me, Mick. 21 goals. Not bad. Jim Corrin coming back for Toronto. Dropped it behind the net. And that's Gingras with 3:30 to play in the period now. The Leafs hanging on to that 1-goal lead. Play goes to Terrion. He missed it. It bounced high down to Delorme. Corrin fed it behind the net. Gingras again. Canadians in for checking. And they're hustling now. That was Walder and Hunter. Wickenheiser is over there bumping with Harris. They'll get a whistle and a face-off again in the Leaf zone.
Mickey, there's something that's bothering me here tonight. I'm sure it's bothering the coaches. The Leafs perhaps a little more guilty, but the Canadians certainly obviously guilty of it at times. Giveaways in your own zone. Boy, there's been a lot here tonight.
Well, that's a matter of just not moving. They should be giving it to a player who's open and then jumping back into a hole to get it back again, but they're not doing it. And as a result, they're standing still, they're not skating, and they're throwing the puck away. It's being intercepted by the opposition.
All right, now we like to keep everybody up to date. There's a new rookie for the Red Wings. Is that on the left of your screen? What is that? Oh, no, that's Mickey Redmond. There's the year.
73-74. There you go, Bob.
Couldn't you remember that?
There's the memory for you.
Close call. St. Croix stopped it with a stick. Ludwig nowhere near the net with that shot. Mario Tremblay, his pass stopped by Corn. Salming has to hop back to help. Another giveaway right in front again. Naslund fired it, and it went in front where Corn hustled into the corner. Ludwig pinching it again, keeping it in. Nigro in behind the net, swinging out. A pass comes through the middle. Dale McCord couldn't pick it up. Ludwig takes a look down ice. Feeds it ahead, an easy pass. Naslund is stopped though. Here comes Tremblay, jammed on the brakes. Mondu shot. He went for that far corner, and it was a glove save by Rick St. Croix.
And again, a reminder that Doug Wickenheiser will be Dave Hodges' guest during the upcoming second intermission on our telecast. And along with that NHL update, we'll switch you to the Northlands Coliseum for action between the Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. And don't blink during that, folks, because those goals are coming thick and fast in that one. Vancouver leading 5-3 at last report.
Kind of interesting here, Dick, tonight. The Canadians seem to be using the back of the net quite a bit, like Gretzky has been doing for the last couple of years. They just throw it around the net. There always seems to be a Canadian forward back there, and then they're trying to shovel it back and head for the front of the net and dump it out.
All right, tell you something. Bob Berry told the team heading out into the road trip, they were having trouble in the other team's zone. They were throwing it back to the points and not making a good play. He said, if you want to get rid of it, if you can't do anything about it, put it behind their net. Either go and get it there or let them get it there and let them make the play in their own zone. And that's a good point, Nick, because you spotted that.
It seems to be working pretty well. They are getting some good scoring chances, but what they do is they just dump it around behind that net, and after the player does that, he heads straight for the front of the net to try to get a return pass from whoever gets back to retrieve it.
Acton with a draw for Canadians, but then Salming on it very quickly. Benning feeds it ahead. It comes near the line and down to 5. 5 has some room. Didn't shoot it. Now he does. Put it right on. Sevigny stopped it. Cleared away by Hamel, but not out. 5 again, getting loose. 5 feeds it behind the net. It comes to Daou. What a save by Richard Sevigny. That has to be the best save we've seen of a hockey game so far. What a beautiful effort by the Leafs. And what a great save by Sevigny in the Montreal goal.
We welcome the viewers of the Edmonton-Vancouver telecast. I'm Dick Irvin, along with Bob Cole, Mickey Redmond, and Dave Hodge. The Maple Leafs lead the Canadians 2-1 with 2:04 left in the second period. And we have just seen the save of the night, pulled off by the Canadians, Richard Sevigny. Mick?
Boy, don't you think that Daou would love to have put this one past his ex-teammate? And look at this, the setup from Anderson, and bingo. He picked that one right out of the air. Big save.
The Leaf goals both by 5 in the first period, Hunter in the second period. And it's 2-1 Toronto over Montreal. Canadians going in. Nyland knocked down. There's going to be a penalty against Bill Derlego of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And here's the call. Derlego going for hooking.
We've just been informed that the doctors checking Larry Robinson, who left the ice with an injured left leg here about 10 minutes ago. Robinson has a pulled hamstring muscle, which is serious enough in itself, but not perhaps as serious as what the whole thing might have seemed at the time.
Now there's Billy D in the box for the Leafs as he hauled down Chris Nyland, who was breaking in all alone. Nice setup from Carbonneau here, and Nyland breaking for the net. And there's Derlego hauling down Nyland. 1:48 to go here in the second period. And Canadians a chance to tie it up here. It's something when a guy makes a save like Sevigny just made, it seems to always work that way. Your team comes back, and here the Canadians have got a chance to tie it.
Sevigny made a tremendous save off Daou up the other end moments ago. As you say, Mick, keeping the Canadians within 1, and now they're on a power play. Let's see what happens. 1:43 left in the period. Canadians with Lafleur going back. Hunter is circling near the boards on the left side. Ludwig, one of the defensemen. Wickenheiser sweeps to the right side. Lafleur coming out. Wickenheiser got the pass, going in. Benning tried to stop him. He did. Salming is over there. And the puck flying high on the glass. Still in play, though. To the side of the net, Walters slides it back. Lafleur waits back near the point. Pass is intercepted by Harris, who falls. They pile in on the boards over there. Leafs killing precious seconds on this power play of Montreal. A minute left in the period now. Comes back near the line again to Ludwig. Winding up, doesn't shoot it. Wickenheiser turning. Couldn't get a pass away. And the Leafs shoot it down the ice.
Yeah, a break for the Leafs. Montreal really mishandling that puck.
45 seconds to play in the period. Derlego in the penalty box for Toronto. 2-1, Leafs lead. Lafleur's pass, stopped. Ludwig going in, shot hit the goal post. Ludwig again firing a hard one. Now Lafleur will try it from the same spot. That one off his skate and just wide. Canadians great pressure on now. Right back to them and another shot. That stopped and it's cleared by McCourt. In with Gavin. McCourt right in. And a great save again. McCourt playing his first game for the Maple Leafs. Nearly had his first goal. Salming knocked one down. 6 seconds left in the period. And slides it down the ice. That'll do it for period number 2 here in Toronto.
Well, Dick, it sure finished with a flurry. I have a feeling that Naslund may have stopped that puck from going into the open net from Dale McCourt. He had Sevigny down. Let's have a look. Well, we're going to look at one earlier with Ludwig wrapping this one right off that crossbar. Look at that, the pipe and the crossbar where they meet. He had the St. Croix beat. And now we're going to get a look at the 2-on-1 with Gavin and McCourt. And watch Naslund coming back in the middle of your screen. McCourt's all alone. And watch this. Well, it may not have got in, but nevertheless, it was open in that crease area.
And so the score at the end of the second period is Toronto Maple Leafs 2, Montreal Canadiens 1.
Good job there, Nick. Mark Hunter, the Canadians have outshot the Leafs 27-16 through 2 periods, but they trail 2-1. Well, overtime winning goals are very nice. Just plain winning goals are nice, and I guess any goal is nice, especially when it came as it did for Doug Wickenheiser the other night. You'd sat out 3 of the first 6 games for the Canadians in the lineup and scored that big one. What did it do for you?
Well, like you said, it's a big boost. Anytime you're struggling, a goal is a big help, and when it comes the way mine did in overtime, it's a big boost to your confidence, and you know, especially, I think, maybe even the coach's confidence in you. If you get key goals like that, then he's not afraid to put you out in situations like that again.
Now, the reports I read may have been overly dramatic, but they indicated maybe the goal came just in time, that there might have been talk of sending you to the minors or giving you even more time in the press box than had been the case earlier. Had you talked with Serge Savard, and what was the situation then? What might it be now?
Well, I had a talk with Serge, and it was just more or less to clear the air about all the rumors. Every day in the papers, I was getting traded to a different team and things like that. So mainly for peace of mind, I just went and had a little chat with him, and he cleared those things up, and he said I'd get back in the lineup, and said just go out and play well, and you'll be in there. So that's all I'm trying to do. And you know, luckily enough, I came back and I was playing with Ryan Walter and Mark Napier, and I'd played with them last year, and we'd played together pretty well. So getting back in the lineup with two players like that made it a little bit easier.
The rumors have to, in your case, bother you just a bit, or more than a bit, perhaps. All the pressure that surrounded you when you went to Montreal, and I guess you've read, and maybe you start to believe, I don't know, that you can't ever click unless you leave Montreal. How do you guard against starting to believe that?
Well, there's no real way, but I think the big thing in my situation was that the players on my team were always behind me. They kept telling me, you know, that I could do it and not to worry and just go out and play. And you know, most of the times it's a little easier said than done to go out there and play relax. But it's starting to come around now, I guess, after so many people have told me to go out and play relax. Maybe it's starting to get through to me. So you know, the players have been a big help in that part, just being behind me all the way.
It's interesting, tonight we have Dale McCourt, the first pick in the NHL draft of '77, who has had his problems, and you know all about the pressure. Forget who drafted you, where you went, or who else might have gone there. What does it mean to be number one and to have that on your shoulders?
Well, first of all, it's an honor, because being picked ahead of every other player available, it's a real boost to your pride, and especially when you go to a team like Montreal, even though we've been struggling a little bit the last few years, it's still a great team, and everything about it is great and first class. And when you go to a team like that and pick first overall, it's a real bonus. And there's pressure on you, but I think there's pressure on any player, whether you're picked first or you know, 101st, because when you're in the lineup, you've got to play well, and maybe, well, not maybe, obviously there's more expected of a number one pick than maybe somebody in the later rounds, but it still comes down to it. When you're in the lineup, you got to play well and produce.
Well said. Thank you, Doug Wickenheiser. Canadians are trailing the Leafs by a score of 2-1. We have our NHL update game, Vancouver at Edmonton, and we'll be going to that shortly as we continue with Hockey Night in Canada in a moment.
Goal-scoring lead.